Good morning, everybody. Good evening, good afternoon. Wherever you may find yourself in the world, welcome to another episode of Yammy Noob. Today we are riding and reviewing the 2022 Triumph Speed Twin. And I gotta say, this is a good looking bike. You guys have probably seen my Scrambler 1200 review, then you already know the deal. This bike was provided to us by our preferred dealer partner, Eurocycles. They sent out these loaner bikes to us. This is another one of them. And I've been really excited to check out the Speed Twin along with the Scrambler 1200. The Speed Twin especially because back last year in 2022, we got the chance to ride and review a Triumph Thruxton RS. And I absolutely fell in love with that bike. I thought it was such a beautiful machine, a really cool bop-around street bike. And this thing takes it in a more upright, more neutral seating position, but still with that same 1200cc engine. So, couldn't do it without the support of the guys over at Eurocycle. We're a big fan of what they do. They will deliver straight to your door. So, although they are based out in the West Coast, Las Vegas, California, all those spots, they deliver straight to your door. So do me a favor, check out rideeurocycle.com, browse their inventory. If you're in market for a Triumph, a BMW, a Moto Guzzi, an Aprilia, a Ducati, they've got you covered. They've got great pricing on MV Agusas specifically because they got a little something special going on. And yeah, go and check them out. Tell them your Yam sent you, and it'll be a good time. So, let's walk over this machine really quick, and let's discuss a little bit of what makes the Speed Twin so special. So, similar to the Scrambler 1200, you've got the 1200cc high horsepower, high output version of this mill. So this thing's cranking out 100 horsepower and 83 foot-pounds of torque, which is really nice, honestly. That's a great amount of power for a street bike, especially weighing in at 480 pounds, which this thing does, ready to ride. You'll notice we have upside-down Marzocchi forks, fully adjustable for preload, rebound, and compression. Actually, no, it's not. They're just, I thought they were fully adjustable. They are not fully adjustable. They are just sprung really well from the factory. But you do have radially mounted Brembo M50 calipers. Those are really nice. They didn't have to do that, but they definitely did. Great stopping power here at the front of this motorcycle. You'll notice as well, too, we have a Metzler Sportec Double R tire. This is a pretty sticky set of tires on this thing. Got a 160 out back, which is a little bit narrower than I would have liked. More of an SV650 size tire. But, you know, this is definitely telling you what this motorcycle is meant to do. It is a Speed Twin. You've got, you know, upside down, stiff fork at the front, sticky tires. It's definitely trying to tell you, hey, let's go have some fun. The coolest thing about this bike is the packaging on this motor right here. Look at how they kind of made a faux carburetor right here. They kind of put the plate on it. The old school air-cooled fins. The tucked away radiator right here. The packaging on these bikes is really, really neat. Notice this swing arm over here. We talked about the aluminum swing arm on the 1200 Scrambler. This one also has an aluminum swing arm, but built for the more sporty side of things. And notice this has a much narrower wheelbase than the Scrambler. It's much more willing to flick over side to side. 31.9-inch seat height on this machine, which is very approachable. I'm about 5'11", and as you can tell, I can very comfortably flat-foot this machine. I think if you're a little bit bigger of a rider, if you're around 6'1", 6'2", this may feel a little cramped for you, but I think if you are more on the average size between 5'8" to 5'11", that kind of mill of human being and the adult male, so to speak, you should fit a little bit better. So let's go ahead and fire this thing up, shall we? Got these beautiful twin analog gauges here with the little cross hatching. That is just, it's the little details on these bikes that I really enjoy. We'll go ahead and pop it into neutral and fire her up, shall we? Burbles to life. Ooh, that is a nice sound. Alright, so we need to go get ourselves some gas, and then we're going to go get out there on the road. Let me talk you through the slow speeds on this bike, though, as we pull over from the parking lot here. Cable-actuated clutch means a nice, predictable engagement. Not as smooth as a hydraulic clutch as you'd find, but throttle response is nice and snappy. You've got a cable clutch that pulls away very nicely. You see here the friction point just right there with the bottle lever. You can adjust that, obviously, right there. A couple different ride modes on this bad boy. We'll go ahead and crack it into sport mode. Get a zestier throttle input there. And we're gonna go get some gas. Let's see how this thing feels as we pull away here. Click up into second. Take our left-hand turn here. Bit of a sitting duck. Well, that's okay. We're gonna make our way through traffic here today, folks. Believe we will. Oh yeah, cruising along on the Speed Twin. It's really cool what they do with these Bonneville platforms, man. I just rode the Scrambler 1200 maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago, something like that. And this is fundamentally the same motor, same frame. But it's so cool that they can take this and turn it into something totally different. This thing feels nimble and small and agile. And because it weighs a good 60 pounds less than the Scrambler 1200 and makes about 15 more horsepower, it honestly feels pretty zesty. I would compare the Speed Twin close to like a Kawasaki Z900 RS, relatively close to an XSR 900 from Yamaha. It's not quite as peppy and zesty. The XSR 900 is lighter weight as well too, but you know, for the ultimate classic retro looks you get with this thing, I don't really feel like you're giving up much in terms of performance, if anything at all. It feels really nice to ride. Alright, we spotted our gas station. We are very low on gas, so we're gonna go ahead and pull in, and I will catch you guys back on the road. Alright folks, we are gassed up. Good to go here on the Speed Twin. One thing I wanted to see, because I actually did not see in the specs, is that this thing has a 5-speed box like the normal Bonnevilles, or a 6-speed. Let's see if we can grab... Oh, we got 6 gears. That's nice. So much immediate torque on tap out of this thing. It pulls way nicer than any retro bike has any right to. It feels so much more like Yamaha's XSR bikes. You know, it's way faster than the XSR 700, I'll tell you that right now. So you can kind of think of this as something between an XSR 700 and a 900. And it just, man, the build quality here is tremendous. I love looking down at this brushed aluminum here. The twin analog gauges, like I mentioned, are just beautiful and really, really nice to look at while you ride. And you know, that's something that's really important to a lot of people, myself included, is the overall riding experience. You know, sometimes I ride bikes with the TFT displays and they all start to kind of blend together and feel the same, and you're like, yeah, it all works really well, but you know, where's the flavor, where's the pizzazz? And the Bonneville line really strikes a nice balance of feeling very modern and like just a good new motorcycle. You know, you lay into in 4th gear, it just feels great. It's got a great amount of power, and it has none of the weirdness of old bikes. Everything works the way you would imagine it to, but it still somehow retains a little bit of that character and charm, and it's just ultimately such a pleasant thing to use. You know, this is the type of bike that I would get along with if you're looking for just a street bike, just a bop around bike. Man, this is a great motorcycle. You know, I could easily see myself commuting with this thing, really enjoying this thing. The seating position is very neutral. I feel very comfortable. Very thin between the tank and the seat here. The seat is this nice padded shelf style seat, and so between my butt and my hands, I feel very comfortable on this thing. The only thing I might add would be some maybe retro inspired tank grips on the side here, so that when I'm attacking the twisties you can maybe feel a little bit more. I do think not having adjustable suspension is a teensy bit of a miss. It is better than the stock units that you'd find on the Bonnevilles, and they definitely made it a little more of that, you know, kind of upmarket feel. But personally, I would really like a Speed Twin RS version. I think that would be really cool. Like the Thruxton RS is super cool because it's got the Öhlins twin shocks in the back and all that. A Speed Twin RS would be a really cool designation. But I think this thing could do actually pretty well on track. I know it sounds utterly silly to say it, but I would happily take this thing to a track day. I think it's going to be more than capable. I don't know about clearance on it. I think it might struggle a teensy bit, but ultimately, I think, you know, it's a bike that would do pretty well on track. Yeesh, you just want to crack open that throttle and feel that velvety torque. These 1200s are fantastic engines. I really like these things. You know, this one only redlines to about 7,000 RPM, but somehow it feels so much faster than the specs imply. You know, 100 horse and 83 foot-pounds of torque, 7,000 RPM limit. You think, okay, it's probably decently fast. But this thing really boogies, man. Like, that is no joke. That's stonking power. That's good. As always, Triumph's fueling and throttle are excellent. On-off throttle feels sublime on this machine. Very predictable, very neutral. You can find neutral throttle very easily. You can blend that with brake input and grab a nice blip of throttle as well when you want to downshift. You'll see here, go ahead and grab a gear up so I can demonstrate. You grab the brakes a little bit. Just very snickety, very predictable, really nice feeling gearbox, very positive feeling out of it. You really can't tell exactly when it's going to gear, when it's not going into gear. Very similar to a Kawasaki gearbox. I really, really like this feeling out of the gearbox. My Daytona has a very similar feeling, just that precise, you know, shift action. Really, really nice. I don't know if I would spec one in this orange paint job. I think it's, I mean, it is cool, but it's not quite the orange that I would go for. This is like, this is kind of like, I don't know if it translates well on camera. It's kind of like a flat orange, and it kind of like, if you've ever seen like a sunburst style guitar, where the edges start to go a little darker depending on where your eye is looking. It has that kind of effect to it, and it's really cool, and it really stands out, but I would prefer a more neutral, glossy, burnt orange if I was going to get an orange out of this one. And you definitely should. Don't just get a black Bonneville. For God's sake, get something with a little more energy. I've become so kind of jaded on just like black motorcycles. I think you should really get something that kind of speaks a little bit to your personality, is a little louder. I love that Triumph is bringing back the yellows, the oranges. I think they have the acid yellow color too, which is really cool. That old one that used to be on the speed triples and street triples. Dude, this thing wants to party, man. This thing really wants to party. It was a lot of fun. I am stuck between a Prius and an SUV because there is no God. Just give me a little bit of space here, folks. We're doing 35. Come on, it's at least 40. Come on. All right, we're gonna pull a jigsaw bra. We're gonna pull a little bit of a jigsaw bra, guys. I'm sorry. I just hate being stuck between cars. I really do. It skeezes me out. Ugh, get some breathing room. And that's the type of thing that you would not expect this motorcycle to be able to do, to so effortlessly carve between traffic and to just get out of the way, you know? Really, really nice. I just saw that Corvette pass by me in the left lane over there, and I do get the sense that like this feels like an old school V8 kind of bike, you know, or car rather. There are no old school V8 bikes, but you know what I mean. Like it has that big bellowy sound, that big bellowy torque. It actually reminds me a lot of driving like a C5 or a C6 Corvette. You know, it just gives me that vibe of just I got this big old engine on tap, and any gear I want, I get on the throttle, and I've got immediate torque, baby. Alright, so we're pulling onto the highway over here. We're going to test the highway manners on this motorcycle. Again, we are in sport mode. There is no cruise control. There is no automated riding systems of any kind. No radar, nothing crazy. This is an old school bike, and you gotta just ride it like you would an old school bike. Looks like we have a ton of traffic, so I don't know how fast we're going to be able to go here, but we will determine the highway capabilities. I will say I'm starting to feel a little bit warm around my calves and ankles. That is just because I do like riding so tight to the bike. That could be just a me thing, but I think this bike does, I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the coldest bike you've ever ridden and 10 being perhaps a Ducati Panigale V4R. This bike is probably like a 4.5 to a 5 in terms of warmth. You gotta remember, this is an under-stressed engine. We're not producing a ton of horsepower given our displacement, so it stands to reason, due to thermodynamics and all those sort of things, that this motorcycle should run pretty cool, and it definitely does. This motorcycle feels very, very cool. I think there's just a couple hot spots because it's so exposed and because they had to make so many concessions for style, so you do get a little bit of heat coming off of this motor, but it's really not too bad. Cruising here at about 55 miles an hour, 4th gear. The regular Bonnevilles have a really nice spread of torque, and they only have 5 speeds, so 5th gear is kind of a massive overdrive. Let me go ahead and click up into 6th and see if they did that for here. It seems to be pretty evenly spaced. It doesn't seem like 6th is a big overdrive gear. And it feels great. You know, I think in 6th gear here cruising, you got plenty of power. I mean, 6th gear on this bike you'd really only want for, you know, like the super long distance kind of stuff. Maybe the you know, 75 plus mile an hour sort of thing. Apologies for my terrible traffic management back there. I missed my exit. I need to take this one. So to all the traffic cops who are watching my video, I really apologize. I did signal and looked over, so we should be okay. Ooh, feel that torque, baby. This is such a sweet bike. I can't tell which one I like more, the Scrambler 1200 or the Speed Twin. I think they're two different flavors, you know? They're two different types of bikes for two different types of riders. The Scrambler is a much more substantial motorcycle. It's heavier, it's bigger, it's wider, it's more commanding. This thing is your classic roadster, but just taken up a notch, you know, with all the performance on tap here. This is a fantastic bike. Well, folks, as we battle this traffic a little bit, I will spare you, and I will meet you at the twisty roads, and we're going to see how this thing hangs left to right. Let's do it. All right. We find ourselves on a twisty set of roads. A ribbon of asphalt with the Speed Twin from Triumph. Now, one thing I want to say, you got to ask yourself, is this a sport bike? No, not quite, but honestly, it gets pretty damn close. The feeling from side to side here, mid-corner, it's incredibly stable. Triumph builds super stable motorcycles, and this one is no exception. On the brakes here, trailing it in downhill a little bit, you feel that extra mass of the motorcycle, but this 1200's got plenty of torque to carry you up this hill here. Clear in 4th gear, no problem. See here, you just kind of carry that on the brakes a little bit, and you can have a ton of fun with this bike. You can very easily ride beyond road legal speeds with this thing, very, very easily. This is a bike that definitely prefers going a teensy bit faster than most people would deem reasonable on public roads. Got a wallop of torque out of corners there. Nice shorter throat throttle tube, to be honest. They might have lifted this right off the Daytona. The grips look a little similar to me, honestly. I wouldn't put it past them. Feels nice. Yeah, we gear down here, floating it through. See how it does on this long left-hander here. Trailing that in, feeding in the power now. Neutral, neutral, neutral. And quick flick right. We're going uphill, so no need to set the bike. The front end gets loaded. Oh, that's nice, baby. Yeah, you can ride this thing way faster than you should be able to. And it's a lot of fun. It really likes doing it too, which is cool. Those Metzler Sport Tech R tires work beautifully. This motorcycle is more than willing and able to attack some corners. Like I said, I would not mind taking it on track, having some fun with it, because I think you could definitely do it. That's pretty sweet, man. That was a lot of fun flicking it through those corners there. Very capable machine. Very capable. This is not a bike that is just a pretender sporty bike. This is a properly sporty machine. What's cool about this bike is you can be very precise with it. It really rewards very precise inputs. You can place it exactly where you want to, and has no issues. It doesn't run wide anywhere. Plants align very, very nicely, and you can be very precise with where you want that front tire to be. Like I can be right over here, take it right over here if I want to, cross that slightly strange undulation in the road. Very, very nice side to side. Again, Triumph doesn't have to make something that handles this well. You could get away with making this motorcycle with the 1200 on it and having it handle okay. People would forgive you, but the fact that it's this composed is really cool. Like, that's a great benefit to this bike. One thing that's great too is the mirrors. From the factory, you get these clip-on mirrors over here, the handlebar mirrors, and you got great visibility out of them. They're much more stylish than the little stick-ons that would kind of pop out over here. These actually feel a little bit more modern, which is cool. Like, this bike has little touches of very modern sprinkled throughout with it, which is really, really nice. Yeah, really enjoying this bike. I mean, listen to that. It is so happy between 3,000 and 5,000 RPM. That is the butter zone for this engine, and it just feels great doing it. It just, such a rich, deep tone. I would happily put some pipes on this thing and have some fun with it, make it a little bit louder, but as it sits right now, it's pretty sweet, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I owe it to you guys to get a nice pull through the gears so you can see how fast this thing is. Because it's actually pretty fast. So once this light turns green and I get the left over here, we're gonna lay into it in first gear and see what she do. All right, let's peel out here, take the wide line, see if we can spot some space. Not bad. We're going slightly uphill, so cut the Triumph some slack, but that's really not bad. The gearing is really nice and tight too. You just got to keep an eye out on the revs, because this is a bike you could very quickly run into the rev limiter, because your brain is like, well, I'm on a motorcycle, I got at least 9,000, 10,000 RPMs to play with, and this one does end at 7,000. We're gonna see if we can get the red light here and launch it a little bit and see if we can get it off a dig, shall we? Let's see. Oh yeah, we got the clear over here. Gonna get in the left, so you can come to a stop and catch the green. Sick. All right, let's go. Got a little wheelie in first. Yeah. Once you get up to speed, the aerodynamics starts to come into play, the horsepower starts to come into play, and it's not a bike that is going to be particularly happy doing over 100, 110 miles an hour, but you get to 100 pretty damn fast, man. I think this thing would embarrass many, many opponents on the open road if you were so inclined, if you wanted to dust up on your local Mustangs, your local 350Zs, all those sorts of things, you know, if you were so inclined. I think this thing could embarrass several motorcycles off the line too. That was pretty damn fast. That's fun.
Whoa, where am I? What is this place? Wow, this is amazing. Oh my God. I better click on the next Yammy Noob video, otherwise I may not stay here. Wow.